Okay, if everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Drop off. Everyone, you've received the minutes from the last meeting. If you have any questions or comments, we'll entertain if not, we'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve, sir.
Second.
Okay, we've got a first by Mr. Isgro, second by Mrs. Matthews. Mr. Hancock, you call the roll, please.
Mr. Isbro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Weigel?
Yes.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Okay, superintendent's comments, Mike. You're up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, what I want to do is quickly review. Next Tuesday, we are going to be communicating to our community our reopening plans for the 2020-2021 school year. Those plans do include bringing all students back all day in class. We know that that is really important to our kids and our community, and as educators, we know that's the best way to educate a kid is in school every day. We also understand that there may be some concerns with fragile kids as far as medical conditions and other concerns, and we will have a remote learning opportunity available to those students as well. Over the next 3 to 4 weeks, we will be communicating what that plan looks like, what parents can do to, opt into that plan, and we'll also be discussing our transportation, food, entrance to school, exit from school planning. The one thing that I want to stress here tonight as well as next Tuesday is that what you will see is we are bringing every student back, but don't mistake in that for those conditions being pre-COVID-19 conditions. These are going to be different procedures. There's going to be safety procedures put in on a daily basis that will be a little different from when you left last March. Processes and procedures in the lunchroom. How you get on a bus, what's required. There's going to be times when face masks are going to be recommended, and other times, depending on the activity, where face masks may be required. And so those will all be outlined in our planning next week, and we're happy and excited to get that started. I do want to caution that these are flexible plans. Things may change through, conditions with what's happening in the community from a health standpoint to mandates from the governor's office. So I caution you that when we present these are plans as of June 29th, June 30th that are subject to change. And so that's coming out next Tuesday, and then from that point, every Monday thereafter, we will be continuing with an update. I know there's been a lot of questions that are being asked about that, and we want to provide some clarity and some direction, and we appreciate the community, parents, and staff's patience with that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Appreciate it. And then we have, did you include the first reading of that? And
We do have a first reading on an amended school calendar for next year, and we also have accompanied with that a student discipline code first reading. Basically, we are asking for some additional days to begin the school year to work with our staff on remote learning concepts and some other things that we're going to need to do to open the school year in a manner that we think is productive. It does not impact any originally scheduled vacation times or breaks throughout the course of the school year, but we have moved some professional development days around so that we front load that schedule. Students still do get out of school prior to Memorial Day, and we just think it's a win-win for our entire district by being able to do that, because the thing that we don't want to have happen is kids returning to school and we aren't ready. And we will be ready on August 19th. And so those calendars will be available starting Tuesday on our website, and we have those out there for the first reading tonight.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Holbrook. We're down to item number 4, the consent agenda, and you all have received the items on the consent agenda. If there's any questions or comments at this time, we'll entertain a motion to
Make the motion.
approve that.
Second.
First by Mrs. Baker, second by Mr. Sprague. Any questions or comments? Okay. Mr. Hancock?
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague,
Yes.
Mr. Weigel,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Isgro.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 5, treasurer's report. Mr. Hancock.
Mr. President, we have several items for your consideration tonight. And you can see that on the detail that we provided you. You'll have, first of all, the library budget is on there. The library, because it's in our school district, ministerially, they're required to file their budget through us, and then we go ahead and file with the county auditor's office. It's something we do every year. You'll also, for our newer board members, you'll see this in the wintertime, around December. Every year they have another trustee or a board member from the library come on. And that also runs through our district, gets advertised, and we take applications and work with them to get that appointed. Those are 7-year terms, and one comes off every year. So you'll see that consistently. And if they should ever put a tax levy on, that would have to run through you too as part of the process. So we don't get into really overseeing their budget and getting into those kind of details. We do look at it and pass it on to you. So that was provided to you. That was one of the items. We have final appropriations for FY20. We have initial appropriations for the new fiscal year starting July 1. We have donations and a confirming purchase requisition, and I believe that takes care of the treasurer's items for this evening.
Okay. If there's any questions or comments about those?
I'll make the motion to accept this.
Got a motion by Mr. Isgrove. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Matthews. And Mr. Hancock, call the roll, please.
Mr. Sprague,
Yes.
Mr. Weigel,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Isgro,
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Weigel, before we move on, I would like to point out that all the hard work that Mr. Holbrook, Dr. Conkle, Mr. Wright, and all of the administration staff have done on preparing for this next school year, because there's been so many unknowns
Absolutely.
that it's changed daily, hourly, and the hours and the time that you have had to put in to prepare for this. And as you said earlier, it may change a whole lot more before we get to where we have to get to. So.
Thank you, Mr. Isgro. And one of the things I want to stress, in times like this, it is so important to have a really strong leadership team, and we have that in Hamilton. Our senior leadership staff, our various unions have been involved in development of this plan, and it's been a total team effort for the Hamilton school community and the development of this plan. And so we're fortunate to have a lot of great people with a lot of creative ideas, and in a situation such as this, there isn't any 1, 2, or 3 people that can do this. It takes a total team effort, and so that's a compliment to just the employees of Hamilton City Schools. But thank you.
Before we adjourn, we just, as a housekeeping procedure, we are going to move to an executive session here in just a moment. But our next board meeting will be, let's see here, July 23rd. We will be meeting at 6 p.m. for a regular session. Prior to that, there will be an executive session at 4:30. We anticipate no further business this evening, but we will retire to an executive session here. We would need a motion.
Yes, we do.
I'll make the motion, we retire to executive session.
Second.
Second. Okay. Do we need to vote on that, Bob?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr.
Yes.
Weigel, Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Isgro,
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Sprague.
Yes.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.